Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Major XRP chess move just took place. Now look beyond the superficial, even though the superficial is major as well. I'm speaking on this happening here. Let me scroll back to the top. Ripple Vets, Ripple SBI, Pantera, and crypto heavyweights back $1 billion Evernorth SPAC to build largest public XRP treasury. Now, you know I have to give you my unique thoughts on this. Well, firstly, let me say this. We've been covering all of these other companies that have been starting XRP treasuries. And I theorized and posited it in one of the recent videos that they were trying to get in position, not even trying. Those financial companies want to get in position, the banks as well, to dominate XRP, as it is a substantial, I believe it's going to be a highly substantial liquidity and bridge currency asset, liquidity layer, and they can use it. Here's the thing people aren't getting. They can use it without Ripple. They don't need Ripple. So when we're thinking, and don't worry, we're going to dive into this. I have some information for you. But if we're keeping in mind the energy that they put out there, right? The legacy system, even though they're forced to combine with the bank coin companies, they're forced to utilize XRP. And now there's no doubt about that. We've seen and heard from experts on RLUSD, stable coins in general. We've read a lot of information. We know now that that we were correct. They need the bridge currency aspect. They need the liquidity, period. That's it. So they know they've been duped. And they're saying to themselves, okay, well, if we can control XRP without Ripple, that keeps us on the throne. There's a war building. Why do you think they started so early? All of these just random companies just popping up that I've never heard of before, starting XRP treasuries. Then on top of that, and I know it's gotten buried, keep in mind all the large proxy buys. Every time XRP goes down, there's these massive proxy buys that have been happening throughout the year. Who is that? Who's positioning themselves as such? Questions are a great thing. Ripple has had a keen eye on that and saying to themselves, listen, we started this. We want to reap the benefits of all this work we've done. Let's integrate XRP and make it an integral part of the system where they can't shake XRP or us. But in order to do that, we have to have control over XRP in a myriad of ways. That's why it goes way beyond the, what do they call that? That allotment of XRP that Ripple has had for a long time. But now you're starting to see they're controlling XRP in a variety of, at least this is their attempt to I won't say control XRP because nobody controls XRP, but it's how Ripple maintains their positioning. That's a better way to put it. That's a better way to put it. So that all the things they've done doesn't fall into the hands of the banks and the large financial asset managers. And make no mistake about it. That's what this is. You're seeing chess moves right now. So that side opens up with Queen's Gambit or something like that. The other side playing Sicilian defense for all you chess players out there, right? That probably was terrible. I'm working on my skills. Don't worry about it. Somebody's like Sicilian defense. That's what came to mind first. I can assure you I know more. I just couldn't think of a better one. That's what's going on right now. So now we go here, you see this happening, but how does that, what is the extrapolation from this? Why did they do this? So here, let's go through a few possibilities here. Primary capital deployment. All of this folks, if please, I hope that you're seeing the potency of XRP growing, which other bank coins are going to follow suit. XRP is just the archetype. It's setting the pathway for other bank coins to take, and they're going to. unless they're just not wise, they're nescient. But I don't think so. I think most of these companies, you look at the brilliant minds that run them, like Ace Bar, Lehman Bear, Cardano, Charles Hoskinson, they're rather perspicacious that they're going to follow that path. Unless they have a path of their own that they're carving out that's more potent than this one. I would take this path. So primary capital deployment, primarily for open market purchases of XRP, with the goal of building the largest public treasury of the digital asset. Now, independently of Ripple, building on the XRPL, and I know they're going to do this. The banks always do this with everything. They have to have their own semblance, copy of something that they control. And I'm not talking about the legacy system side of the DLT that they tried to copy, but it failed. No, I mean, they're going to build things on these bank coin chains to have that aspect of that. Make sense? My apologies if I'm not so eloquent, but I think you get what I'm saying. And they will utilize XRP how they see fit. They see the power. They see the potentiality. They see money on the table. They're not going to let that just glide past them. That's not going to happen. I think that's a big part of what's going on here. So the liquidity aspect, that's number one. Number two, and I said this in a bunch of videos, didn't I? Lending is power. Lending debt, that's a power. Why do you think all these companies do it? And then the gain from lending, not just the financial gain. Shh, it's just you and me here, right? There's nobody else around because it's not for everyone's ears. It's just you and me. All right, now that we got that clear, it's the power, not just the lending, the IMF. I'm telling you, you look at what's going on here. They're putting the new conglomeration together. These companies are going to be moving Ripple in the leadership position like they're the new IMF. I promise you. They've already begun. When countries, not just, don't think companies, when countries need to borrow, the amount of value that these bank coin companies are sitting on, they can lend to them. When they lend to countries, the same way that they make donations and lobby politicians and then they owe them something for sure. No one puts capital somewhere without expecting a return. When they lend to countries, you don't think that those countries are going to owe them? You don't think that now that juxtaposition, Ripple's over here with lending, XRP lending, which is going to be major. We'll get to that in a moment because this definitely spins off into that. In my humble opinion, you could disagree. It's my humble opinion. But that juxtaposition with the IMF. So the IMF does lending with their SDRs, but they're brutal with these countries. We've covered it for years. These countries have rebelled against the IMFs at times, not even using the SDRs, trying to use alternatives like Bitcoin or gold. Am I right or am I wrong? That's true. Look all of this up. Question everybody, question everything, question me. Ask questions. And look all of it up. Little Google search. By the way, if you like this type of content, take those powerful hands of yours and hit that like button a few times. And, maybe if an ad or something pops up, I don't know what YouTube is doing now, but if it does, I don't know, but maybe, I don't know. But they've rebelled against the IMF. They don't like them. They've spoken out against the IMF over the years. We covered it. And that's not difficult to find. They've rebelled against the IMF in Africa. They've rebelled against them in Latin America. These are key places, folks. Don't you dare. Somebody's like, I dare, Mick. I dare. I know you dare. I know. I know my audience by now. I know you dare. I know. But I'm just saying, don't you dare negate or try to subrate the value that's going to be coming out of those places. The untapped resources don't have to be dug out of the ground now. Ripple knows that. BlackRock knows that. That's what RWA is really about. You can use LiDAR, all this new technology. There's like 7 of them. I put a list. I screenshotted in one of the videos over the summer of all the new technologies where you can scan the ground And whatever you find in there, they've got tons of gold, silver, and other things. You can tokenize the value of that without moving it. They're going after that. That's another thing why people are underestimating greatly RWA tokenization. They don't understand the explosion in price. That's why I always say there's two coming. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not here to make you agree with me. Not financial advice. That's just my humble opinion. I just speak for myself. And I respect others to have their own thoughts. Matter of fact, I think that's a great thing because sometimes you might have an original thought that I may learn something from. And I hope sometimes I have original thoughts that you may learn from. That's real life. But that's why I always say there's two explosions coming. The interbank payments. They have a problem. Did you look into it? I asked so humbly. I told you. I showed you where the Fed, the banks who are dealing with the Fed have been having a liquidity problem with the Fed. All right. The particulars of that, you have to look into that. But that was maybe like I put the screenshots up, even if I misspeak or misphrase it. I put the screenshots up. That was maybe like 3, 4, 5 videos back. But you can find it. You can find it. They have to solve that problem. You solve that with something like XRP. But let's keep going. I have more information, I know. But let me get these. Hold on. Wait. Whoa. Let me get these thoughts out. Hold on a second, man. Impatient. My word. So, primary capital deployment, yield generation. Evernorth plans to capitalize on yield opportunities through institutional lending. Didn't I just speak on that? Didn't I speak on that 2, 3, 4 videos in a row? Lending. They're about to ensnare. Yes, I'm going to use that word. Ensnare. All these different powers, countries and different companies that need to borrow. XRP is going to shoot through the galaxy. Unbelievable. This positioning. I like it. I've been playing a lot of chess lately, trying to beat people that are extremely good and getting whooped. But I'm increasing. I'm getting better. I'm not going to to come here and front to you like, oh, I'm just whooping high elo players. No, I was getting whooped, but I'm learning each day. So, and I'm recognizing, and I've been playing chess my entire life. I've just been a casual. But I'm trying to get better. But now playing it and learning all the different strategies and such that I wasn't taught at a young age, like openings and middle game and endings, closers, endings, all that stuff like that. I'm seeing a lot of that being employed here. Right now, I think we're seeing a little bit of middle game here. So lending, liquidity, provisioning, and it says, and DeFi yield opportunities. People don't know what they're holding. Yes, it's been years. We have a lot of new people into XRP. No, I don't think people grasp the immensity of what XRP is going to do. That's just my humble opinion. You could disagree. I can't tell you what I don't think. That's how I feel. That's what I think here. That's what I talk to people about in my personal life. That's what I say to them. There's no way around it. Interbank payments, trillions of dollars. RWA, trillions of dollars. Payroll, lending. How does XRP, you tell me, please, how does XRP stay below $10, $15? Let's go a little step further, and I don't think it's wild whatsoever. I think this is a very, very low ball number. How does it stay below $20, please? Looking at what it's supposed to do, what it could do globally, not a guarantee. I'm not an absolutist. I'm playing with possibilities here. We all know the lower end of the spectrum. We know what that could be. The lower numbers. That's the easy work. It takes courage to think about the heights. Okay, so let's have a little bit of courage. What are the heights that XRP can really reach if it does what it's supposed to do globally? And I don't have a timeline on this because what they're doing is so immense. How could one nail it down to a specific timeline? 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years? Who knows? But I do know this. Let's look at what's actually happening. Things are happening at a rapid rate. So DeFi yield opportunities, ecosystem advancement to strengthen the wider XRP ecosystem, operating XRP validators and leveraging Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin, the Trojan horse, as an on-ramp into XRP-based decentralized finance. And that's all it ever was. It's a door opener to XRP, RLUSD. It does not move globally. Everywhere that you look, they're trying to chop the knees of dollar-based stable coins. So how would it be global? How does it go from here to there? Through XRP as a bridge currency, as a liquidity. XRP is the end game. It's just that simple. Whether people believe it or not, it makes no difference. All that matters is what actually is. The evidence that is at hand. That anybody, you or I or someone down the street can observe. And then from there, I mean, there's just reasonable pathways that you can build from and extrapolate to say, oh, this logically can go here or there based on partnerships and utility. Corporate operations, a portion is allocated to working capital, general corporate purposes, and transaction expenses. So integration with TradFi, the listing on the NASDAQ under the ticker XRPN, represents a major step for XRP into traditional financial markets, offering a regulated and familiar investment vehicle for institutional and retail investors who may have a proclivity for publicly traded securities. All right. Door opener. Conditioning. They're conditioning them to get used to XRP. Enhanced utility and adoption. The firm's strategy is designed to generate returns for shareholders. Once they start, and we've talked about this before, once they start making all of those sweet gains from XRP, they're going to want more. We're seeing this archetype be played out now with Bitcoin. More and more of them will jump in. And when that value pile continues to increase and they see how easy it is for now, it won't be later, but for now, because everything is still early. It just is. That's just the way that it is. I don't make up the rules. Life is life. It's still early. Other companies, countries, large asset managers, banks are going to want to jump in. Small and medium-sized businesses will want to jump in if they're wise, if they're erudite. Let's continue on. Largest public treasury. They said that in the article. I'm trying to generate ideas that are different than what the general article said. That everyone's reporting on. It says it will establish the single. But let's go over this little tidbit. Why not? It will establish the single largest public digital asset treasury focused on XRP. But why? Control, folks. Control. It's not just about value. It's about control, power, positioning. And then, of course, we already talked about the shareholder returns, etc. I thought I had something else here. Bear with me one moment. I could have sworn I had something else. My apologies. I should have brought some water. My mouth is getting a little bit dry. I'm a little bit dehydrated. So this is a great chess piece. Great chess piece. And they're trying at this particular time. It's important for these companies, if they want to capitalize on XRP, to control the chessboard that XRP is on. Because when that price explodes, I also know that they're going to manipulate the price. Those who hold the most of it. I don't think Ripple, SBI, etc. But those large asset managers and companies building XRP treasuries, they're going to attempt to do the same thing that they've been doing to Bitcoin. Let the price go up. Then they'll deliberately sell to bring the price down, shake the people up, rinse and repeat. To them, it's not just about taking capital from retail. It's about power over retail. So they will do that to maintain a dominant position, in my humble opinion. All right, so let's move on to a little bit of. I think this is Bitcoin news. This article is titled Asia Morning Briefing. Bitcoin holds steady as market resets after leverage flush. Resilience. As I thought, things are starting to stabilize. As I thought, they'll pop back up. We'll see if I'm right on that. If I was correct, as I stated in my last video, I thought this would happen. But now the last piece is for that price to pop back up. But it's trading at 110,000. What did it go low to before? Wasn't it like 104, 105,000? So it did rise a bit. That's something. Folks, it's a game. It's a game. Now, all we're waiting on is to find out who bought that Bitcoin and who's going to be buying. I'm talking about massive amounts of Bitcoin where you're sure it's a company. Even if they buy by proxy, a lot of these buys are proxy buys. Shh, they keep it quiet. Right. They don't want the people too bullish. I'm going to keep on iterating that. They don't want the people too bullish. Now, once all this happens, watch how shocked people behave. I didn't know that Bitcoin and XRP were going to do that. Right. And I mean, yeah, part of it is people not doing the research. Sure. But I also understand people have busy lives. They're tired. They have families to raise. I get that 100%. But also part of the blame lays upon the media that is controlled by the large money. They own the companies. They own the media. Who owns the media, right? They're keeping it from you. You know, what's that new word I hear all the young people use? Gatekeeping. They use that word a lot. You're gatekeeping? Well, the big money are the ultimate gatekeepers. They do not want you having the lion's share of this capital that's about to come from Bitcoin and XRP and bank coins. They don't. Solana, etc. Ethereum will have its fill as well. They feel, and I'm trying to think of a way to say this. I guess I'll just say it this way. I've heard personally, they feel people, the retail had their fill during all those other explosions. Now, this is just a few people saying this, like 3 or 4 people, whatever. But these are people where if they say something, I take it serious. I'm like, okay, I just let them talk. Okay, that's interesting. You feel that way. I'm not saying that, but in my mind, I'm thinking that. So if I go based on that, if that is a real feeling that's obtuse, this is spread out amongst big money individuals, then they sort of look at retail with a little bit of disdain, and they feel like it's their time now. Retail had its time, it's their time now. That makes sense? And to be aware of that mentality, in my humble opinion, says that there's a lot of, that's to be aware of manipulation of both the price of Bitcoin as well as XRP and the media. Once more, I just want to iterate. They control a lot of the media. Hey, you don't have to believe it. It's up to you. Listen, I'll just speak to you from my experiences. All right. So now, Bitcoin trades at $110,000 after a sharp drop as leverage unwinds. Bitmine invests $800 million in Ethereum. Really interesting. Amid steady, that's key. I don't even care about the prices. Right there. Thank you, article writer. Whoever you are, Kelvin Munene. My apologies if I mispronounce it, but at least I'm putting your name out there. I don't know these people. This is coincentral.com, but when someone does something good, I like to give them credit for that. Amid steady institutional, yes, I'm emphasizing, that's why I said it twice, activity. So the institutions have persisted. Right. Like I said, those catalysts remain, which means what? I am correct in my estimations. Bitcoin remains super bullish. Super bullish. I like to say, like, I could just say super bullish, but I like to super bullish. It just feel powerful. I like to feel powerful. You shouldn't. I mean, you feel how you want to feel. You know what I mean? But I like that. Let's continue on here. You all doing well out there? I hope you are. Bitcoin held firm during early Asian trading hours on Tuesday, staying around $110,300 mark after a recent sharp correction. Analysts say last week's sell-off helped reduce market leverage without damaging the broader structure. Meanwhile, institutional activity remains strong, with new investments flowing into Ethereum infrastructure and crypto firms returning to public markets. Then it continues on with a little bit more of their Bitcoin analysis. Bitcoin opened Tuesday morning in Asia, trading near $110,300, stabilizing after last week's drop, as I thought it would, that saw prices fall to around $104,000, according to data from CoinDesk. The cryptocurrency market is largely steady. Really, you don't say. That wouldn't hint. I mean, I guess there's a plethora of possibilities, right? But this is one amongst them. That wouldn't hint towards manipulation, would it? I think it might. I think a lot of people, for lack of a better word, I'm going to go old school with this one. I think a lot of people are getting played like a fiddle. They're getting played. This, to the big money, this is a game. You have to be careful of that. It's all a chessboard to them. Analytics firm Glassnode said the recent pullback was, quote, a flush, not a failure. It stated that excessive leverage was removed from the system, with traders realizing losses in futures open interest declining. The firm added that ETF flows are now flat and funding rates have normalized, which may indicate that the market is trying to reset. Exchange volumes. Ooh, let me be careful. I hit the cord on this microphone. This microphone, my word. Sometimes I could record a 40-minute, 30-minute, 20-minute video. I just tap the microphone by accident. It'll go off. It's a good microphone, though, and I'm a loyalist as well. So I've been with this microphone for a while. Not for... It's been a long time now. It's been a long time. And I like to keep things that been done well for me. I like to keep them around. Somebody's like, get a new microphone, Mick. I like this microphone. We got a lot of history together. I'm anthropomorphizing it in a way. Anthropomorphizing the microphone, right? It's just an item. Man. Shouldn't have attachment, Mick. You're right. You're right about that. Exchange volumes rose during the correction, with ARCA reporting improving liquidity and more balanced positioning. Analysts noted that this reset phase comes without a deep structural breakdown, and market participants are showing defensive behavior instead of panic. I told you, the people are smarter. Everyone involved right now is much more wise than they were the previous two bull runs. Not so much panic anymore. Interesting. While retail interest has slowed. So who's steering the ship? Now, you answer that question. That as a catalyst, who's steering the ship? Has it waned whatsoever? No? Okay, now answer this. Is that particular catalyst the reason that Bitcoin is at such a high price? Huh? I didn't hear you. Oh, yes, it is. Which means if there's a continuity there and it has remained the same, that means Bitcoin remains super bullish. All right, so how much time do we have here? Can we squeeze in a little bit of gold news? You mind? Oh, man. This has been a very good time period, in my humble opinion, for researchers. You know, just you got to understand, for researchers like myself, I don't know how to describe. You just feel good being able to tear information apart, analyze information, play with ideas. It's like you're playing in the biggest sandbox ever. Like, you're like a child and you're having fun with that little shovel and bucket, just making sandcastles, just playing in the sand, discovering shells and stuff, different forms you can make. That's how it feels. I just feel good. I don't know how to better explain that. So now, I guess it could be better explained. It's like being a painter and acquiring better paint in the canvas, right? You can do more with it. Gold and silver post steepest. Oh no. Oh, this is so devastating. I don't mean to make light of it. I don't know who may actually have gotten in so late, and maybe this is actually burdensome to them. But I can only speak for people that are like myself, been into gold and silver for a long time, mostly gold, and we saw prices like $1,600, $1,500, $1,700, $1,800 gold, where people told us, or they told me. Let me be specific. They told me. I won't be inclusive this time, that it would never go past $2,000 again, or it would never achieve $2,000. Though, unless they removed it, those comments should still be there, right? Where are we now? So to individuals like myself, you must understand that gold looks great right now. Great, despite any turbulence. That's expected. There's going to be profit taking. There's going to be manipulation, little shakeups. No big deal. That has not negated from the potentiality of gold, the explosive potentiality. Let me clarify that. Explosive, positive potentiality. Somebody may say, well, potentiality encompasses all possibilities, including the negative. Mick, I know that. But when I speak, you should know I err on the side. I lean to the side of positivity. So just always keep that in mind if you're going to be around for a while on the channel. So this is what it says here. Let me stop this. Hold on a minute. What is this autoplay video going? What is this? That's a sneaky way to get a view. You just click on the website and the video just starts playing. That's a view, right? Gold and silver saw their steepest sell-off in years. As investors locked in profits, you see all of the different massive institutions now coming out with predictions for $5,000 gold. You know why, right? That substratum that is propping gold up, I don't see it going away anytime soon. I just don't. And because of the strength of those catalysts, yes, I do agree that gold could go in the future at some point. I don't know how long that would take. I don't think it's going to take very long because of all the drama in the world right now. There's going to be an increasing amount of companies, large financial institutions, and high value individuals, even regular individuals, if they can get their hands on it. I prefer physical gold, but digital gold is great as well. Not financial advice. I'm just saying, because I'm considering how easy it is or difficult it may be for regular people to get their hands on gold. There was at one point, I saw an article, I don't know how true this is, that they were restricting purchases on physical gold from like the Costco, and who else was doing that? Was it Costco and Walmart? Some of these mainstream places were selling physical gold, and I heard that they were restricting that. And it's like the regular people are not getting traditional places to buy gold promoted to them where there's not much of a restriction. You can get a pretty respectable amount. So they don't know about that. So how much of a part regular like retail people play a part in this? I don't think it's going to be major. I don't. And it hasn't been necessary, to be quite honest, whatsoever, because the central banks have propped the gold up. Central banks and high value individuals. That's just a fact. You do any search and type up historical buying of gold by central banks over the last 5 years. You can even go last 10. And then you look at that. Read those articles, you look at that, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. Let's continue on here. So, spot gold prices slumped as much as 6.3%, the biggest decline in more than a dozen years, while spot silver dropped as much as 8.7% after technical indicators showed earlier gains may have been overdone. Or there's a lot of manipulation involved so that others can get a little bit more gold at a little bit more of a reasonable price, and so that they can exact their control over the system, not just letting it just careen out of their control like a train without brakes, right? So a lot of it is about control, in my humble opinion. Today's historic intraday pullback on gold emanates from, good word, Yahoo Finance. Emanates. I like that. Good word. I like good words, folks. I do. Let me continue. Emanates from a combination of quite powerful mechanical indicators, said Frank Monkum, head of macro trading at Buffalo Bayou Commodities. He sees strong support at $4,000 to $4,050 and expects prices to climb again, after returning from overbought positions perfect way to end the video. I appreciate you all being here. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.